Hey guys, so after the update tomorrow, we will be getting a free 6-star Euphoria selector. So there is about 12 units that we can select from. So in this video, I want to go through those units and help you all to decide, which unit you should pick. Especially if you're a beginner and you have a very small roster, so you want to diversify your roster, and which unit basically will help you out the most as a beginner. Or if you are a veteran and you have all of the characters already, then which character that you should get the Portray for. Alright, so this video I will go through that. So the first advice here is that prioritize unit to complete the team. So what do I mean by the team? Here is impromptu, Blood Tie, and Ultimate team. These are currently the coming up meta. Blood Tie, maybe you have not heard about it, but if you look into Ezra Euphoria, you will notice the term Blood Tie. So what it does is that every time your HP reduces, then you will charge Blood Tie, and once it hit a certain level, there will be a unit coming in patch 2.8, which is after the Assassin's Creed collaboration. That will be one of the strongest team that the game has to offer up to that point. So that is one team that you want to complete as well. Okay, so impromptu, Blood Tie, or Ultimate team. So if your impromptu is lacking 1 or 2 units and you don't have Voyager, then Voyager will be a very suitable choice. Blood Tie, on the other hand, uses character like Samwise. They can use Flutter Page, and then Sentinel, which is a new character in patch 3.0. So let's say if you don't have any of the character, like you don't have Samwise because you joined a bit late. So in that case, Eternity does work with that team. Not as good as Samwise, because Samwise will be getting her Euphoria as well, and her Euphoria is pretty busted, but Eternity will at least be able to do the job, especially if you are just starting out, as a beginner. And how are you going to get all those characters? So even though Eternity may not be the best fit, but as a beginner and you want to start out and use Blood Tie at least more effectively, then you can use Eternity. For sustain, for Blood Tie team, you can use Madpot as well. Other characters apart from Madpot are like Ezra, the Blood Tie version obviously, and also Fatutu. Right, so it depends. If you already have some of this character, then maybe you can choose other options. But if you do not have it, then you might want to get Medicine Pocket just to complete the Blood Tie team. Another one here is the Ultimate theme. There will be a lot of Ultimate character coming up, and Melania is one of the best support for this Ultimate. Not one of the best, probably the best, right? So if you don't have Melania, yeah, she is definitely your priority. Alright, so let's say in a situation, let's say you already have most of the team like almost complete, and there are some characters that you will pull for and they will complete it. So in that case, you don't have to pick those characters. So for a more general approach on which unit to pick, first of all, like I say, try to complete one of the team, impromptu, Blood Tie, or Ultimate. Or you have Lucy, then there will be Dynamo, which is in the future patch. At least have one of this, the meta team. But once you complete that team, then I would suggest the next thing you want to prioritize is sustain units. Because to do Reverie effectively, you need at least 4 sustain. And I'm not simply saying like healer, like you build up La Source, and then you expect La Source to actually be very effective in Reverie. That may not happen, especially again if you're a new player and you don't have your character all fully built up, so their defense is relatively low. So in that case, you want to ensure you have those recent sustain unit, which a lot are from their Euphoria, like Babbles, Medicine Pocket, all those characters. And if you have enough sustain, then go for utility. So here I show you 4 examples for sustain. First, Medicine Pocket, very AP friendly, very versatile, fit in a lot of team, and has very high damage boost but only single target, and you have to use the debuff every 2 rounds if you want to sustain that debuff, right? So here I put it in an order of importance. First, Medicine Pocket. Second, I would suggest Babbles. If you already have Medicine Pocket and you need more sustain, then go for Babbles. She is also very AP friendly, very versatile. Yeah, so overall, a very good unit. But why I put her behind Medicine Pocket, that's because Medicine Pocket does has that debuff, which Babbles doesn't. So Babbles have some crit buff, which is from her shield, but it's not as good as Medicine Pocket. Then next here I have is Sotheby. Why I put her at the 3rd position, she's actually a little bit, you does need to allocate 1 AP for her. And sometimes with sustain and support, you don't even want to use any AP on them, right? So Sotheby does need that 1 additional AP, but Sotheby's healing is still very good. Okay, so if you get her, nothing wrong. She will be one of the most important sustain in your team. It's just that her AP requirement make me put her slightly lower in terms of your priority to get the sustain from this 6-star selector. And another character here, which I consider her a sustain, especially with her Euphoria, is Druvis. Druvis, if you put her in the mono plant team and her Circle of Life, they will be having very, very high leech rate. So they are all able to sustain their HP as long as they attack the enemy. So Druvis, I will consider her a sustain, but I put her as the last choice. Now, let's say if you have enough sustain, then you want to review your roster and check what utility that your roster is missing. Do you have a good Dispeller? If not, Pickle is actually a very good choice, because if you put him behind a mineral unit, every round he will be casting a rank 2 incantation that dispel all buff and counter from the enemy. So making him the best Dispeller we have at the moment, right? So getting Pickle just for his capability to dispel is actually a very reasonable choice. Melania has very good Moxie control, and she can cheese several Reverie fights. Maybe not 400 meter. Some of the fight from 200 maybe up to 250, where we can actually use Melania Moxie control to cheese those fights, right? To prevent enemy from using their ultimate. And Melania having Moxie gain also means that she has the capability to speed up your team's rotation, because they'll be getting their ultimate faster, then you can cycle through their rotation faster. So very, very good utility from Melania. Voyager as well has Moxie control, and on top of that, she has silence and steal. So if you are missing out on those type of crowd control, but do note that there is actually not a lot of content that you actually need it. Okay, so do think about it. And the last one here is Anan Lee. So Anan Lee is a rank up character and can inflict daze. So rank up as well, some fight mechanics specifically need us to use rank up. So Anan Lee has that mechanic that will help us to tackle those fights. Okay, so it's not like a very bad unit to pick for. Alright, so I hope with that sustain and utility you already can make a decision. But let's say you have cleared all the Reveries and there are still some characters, Euphoria characters, that you don't have. So which one should you pick? So here are my top pick. The one being the most left is the highest, so I put Melania as number 1, Medicine Pocket as number 2, Pickles number 3, and then Babbles is number 4. Then moving down, here I actually put Druvis. That's because Druvis will be getting an E2, a second Euphoria in 3.0. And that second Euphoria seems pretty important for future plan team. We are not sure, okay, it's more of a speculation as a guess, but I can see that with the buff that E2 Druvis provides, she might be a very important character in the future. So I put her, as the top in this mid category. Then after that is Sotheby, and then Voyager, and then Lee. And unfortunately, for the last 4 picks here, I have Eternity, Shemaine, Jessica, and Lilia. Eternity, again, if you are lacking that blood tie unit and if you really want to quickly set it up, get all the full team of blood tie as soon as possible, Eternity definitely is the top pick. But let's say you already have those characters covered, or you are not really keen to go for blood tie, you probably will not use Eternity in a lot of team, right? That's why I put her in the bottom pick. Shemaine at the moment, initially, he's the out support, and actually with the Myth Manifest, the Beast one, which gives 2 Moxie at the start of every round to the character with the lowest Moxie, actually makes the whole gameplay of Shemaine in Reverie pretty decent. A lot of people doesn't explore that, but I've used it several times. It's actually okay. However, moving forth, you have new characters coming out support new character that's also beasts, like Moldir, like Gertian. So all these characters are coming in and is directly competing with Shemaine. To the point that Shemaine felt is not only that his damage is being power crap, his utility is being power crap as well. Okay, so I put him in the bottom list. Then here I have is Jessica. Jessica, I think, the main thing is the petrification. And I actually find that pretty strong. It's just that from current GL until whichever patch in CN that we are going to get, I don't think there's a new fight that requires the petrification. So yeah, I don't think there's a fight where you specifically need to petrify the enemy or stun the enemy, stun lock the enemy. No. Okay, so in that case, yeah, you can skip on Jessica. And lastly is actually Lilia. When she got a Euphoria, she's actually pretty good for some of the Reverie stages, especially those that requires a star DPS. But as we move along, more of this fight would, it would be better if you use Impromptu rather than Lilia, for example. So yeah, I think now she's actually not so good anymore, even for Reverie. To clear the harder Reverie, if you are still talking about like 200 meter, 250 meter, there's no problem, okay? Yeah, so unfortunately, Lilia is the last place in my list. And for Portray, so which Portray should we get? Okay, first of all, let us go through some of this Portray. Voyager's Portray, increased Genesis damage. It's actually not so bad because Impromptu also does Genesis damage based on the additional damage that Voyager does when she uses ultimate, and most of her Portray all enhances that additional damage. Impromptu uses that additional damage as well as a factor, and Impromptu will do Genesis damage on the boss, right? So Voyager does have a certain value there. So I put it as maybe. Maybe because, some other Impromptu units are coming, keep arena regular. So in certain fight, especially like one single target boss fight or boss fight with some minions, but still you want to kill the boss as the priority, you will end up using regulars. Okay? Although they are switchable depending on what type of fight you are fighting up against. But yeah, if you have either Regulus or Voyager, you are fine. As for Sotheby, it just increases the damage. It's not even, when you use Sotheby's ultimate, it will do a certain percentage of relative damage and trigger all the poison and all the healing. So that additional damage is not even about the poison. It's the base damage that's her ultimate do, which actually is not important for her anymore. That is not her role. So I would say no to Sotheby's Portray. Charmaine's Portray allowed him to start with 5 Nature's Blessing. It's quite difficult to stack up on the Nature's Blessing. So if you can start with 5 Nature Blessing, it's actually pretty okay. Because once he got his ultimate, you use the ultimate, he consumed 5 Nature Blessing and he will get his ultimate again. So it does smoothen out the rotation. Alright, it does smoothen out the rotation. And if you have Charmaine, this might be something that you want to consider to get Charmaine's Portrait. And here I also have Pickles. Pickles P1 is nothing, but P2 increased the damage dealt he provides from his ultimate up to 40% instead of 30%. So that's additional 10% buff, damage buff to your party. So to me, that is actually pretty okay, pretty worth it, right? Yeah, the 10% can sometimes makes a big difference. So would suggest that Pickles are also a possible portrait to get, especially like you are at P1 and you just need one more to go for P2. So might as well. And next year we have new Bebbles, also increasing her damage from riposte. So no for Bebbles portrait. Melania P2 Grunt 2 Thief Master. And if you are playing since the beginning of Reverse 999, you will know that P2 Melania is something that people talks about because it does improve a rotation. It does help you to have a better Moxie control. So overall, it's really changing the effectiveness of Melania as a utility support unit. So here I'm putting it as lightly. Okay, if you need a portrait, go for Melania. Medicine Pocket P1 more healing on ultimate, but we don't get ultimate that often, so that's not relevant. But yeah, and P2 increase Medicine Pocket healing more. So if you really have Medicine Pocket as your only sustain and you want Medicine Pocket to be able to clear everything, yeah, then getting that portrait in order to allow Medicine Pocket to heal better is not a bad idea. But it's P2, not P1. Lilia is a DPS. Portray increases out damage, which means increases her capability as a DPS. So if you really like Lilia a lot, and that you already have everyone right in the whole list of the 6 stars that you can select, then I guess it's no harm going for Lilia. You already have all the other characters anyway, and they all work fine as P0. And the last 4 characters here, Jessica, Eternity, Druvis, and Lee, all of their incantation just increase more damage, but that is not really their role anymore, right? For Jessica, she's not a support, but the portrait increases the out damage, but most of the damage comes from her incantation anyway. Yeah, so not going to recommend these characters' portrait. Instead, these are the 4 characters that I would recommend if you really want to get a portrait. The first one being Melania, again P2, right? So if you already have P1, you still want to use this opportunity to get a P2, or Pickles P2, Charmaine P1. We might not know, he might get a new Euphoria E2. So we know at least Nature's Blessing was his original kit, so that one probably will not change, but they will add in something else using Euphoria. But if you get him as P1, it might really help out in whatever Euphoria that he will be getting in the future. And the 4th option here is Medicine Pocket. Alright, so yeah, that's all for this video. So I hope this clarifies some of your concerns, so you know which character to pick for the upcoming 6-star selector Euphoria 6 stars. Alright, so thank you very much and have a good day.